I will do the thing. One day. One day, someday. Is doing it? Is it doing it? Is it doing it? It's sure doing something. It takes forever for the YouTube stream to start, I swear. Oh, I've got so many things open. Kill me. Okay, I can get rid of... Oh, there it goes. So, hi YouTube. Welcome in. Just give me a hot second because I really don't need to do much here. I'm literally here to just kind of sort of comment on stories as they go. Because we're literally just going to be going through them at what I'm going to consider a breakneck speed. Just going to grab this. Alright, we're good. We're good. And I am going to go ahead and we're just gonna start it. I'm gonna stick it on auto so that way I can continue to work. Like I said, I'm currently working on coloring a couple of webcomic pages while I have the opportunity to do it with a hands-off game, but I will be listening to it like an audiobook. I don't really think that I need to add too much commentary because, like I said, this is sort of just us making a record of all of the things that we've done. If we have time, maybe I'll look up a YouTube video for the ones that I missed, just so that way we can have it finished. But I'm gonna see how much time this takes because we only have today and tomorrow for full days, and then like the 29th I'm hoping that we're just gonna be messing around and like, you know, rolling because I still have like 70,000 gems or something to roll with. And yeah, so without further ado, I guess I'm gonna go in here. We're gonna hit the record for Sunset Port. We're gonna recall it, and I'm gonna stick it on auto, and you guys can just enjoy yourselves. If it lets me. If I can't stick this on auto, it's gonna be a rough.
A lone woman silently walks beside a sparkling sea where sunlight glistens on the water. She is elegance personified, her black swimwear giving her the appearance of a gossamer butterfly. This place is not her home. Rather, she has come here to complete a single mission. She has been tasked with slipping aboard a nearby ship and stealing a person's life. For this woman is an assassin, but though this is not her home, the place is not entirely unfamiliar. She has been here once before, long ago. As she gazes out at the light playing over the water, she thinks back on that time. She was young then, so young, her spirit not yet worn thin by the passing of years. She journeyed to this place as part of her rigorous training, tasked with locating a corrupt politician from a rival country. Then, as now, the port was a lively place, with ships from around the world moving in and out on a regular basis. It was a city filled with all manner and races of people, and no one paid any mind to the innocent girl who walked among their number. This was exactly how she wanted it. The more they overlooked her, the easier it would be to gain the information she sought. After a bit, she learned her target would soon be attending a political gathering aboard a ship. But she did not know the identity of the ship, and their number was legion. If she were to sneak aboard the wrong one, all of her careful planning would be for naught. But as the girl pondered this dilemma, A shock raced through her body. Focused as she had been on the ships, she did not notice the young boy running along the pier and had smashed straight into him.
Rip. Rip this child. Let's go ahead and... Yeah, I'm gonna get plenty of work done. They said Legion, and I was like, Legion? That word is forever cursed for me. It's fine.
The girl on a mission collided with a young boy along the water's edge.
Oh, shit.
Though clad in fine clothing, he raised his voice in a most undignified howl as he lay upon the ground. Blood trickled from an injured knee. As passers-by began to turn and stare, the girl knew she could not leave the boy as he was. As she began tending to his wound, she asked him, "Where are your parents? Can I take you to them?" But the boy's lowered head only shook back and forth slowly. "I don't know where my father is," he said in a wavering voice. "All I know is that he's leaving soon for an important meeting." The boy's voice hitched on the edge of a sob. As it did so, a thought came to the girl. Perhaps his father is the one I seek. If the boy was the son of a politician, it would explain his fine dress. With this in mind, the girl cheerfully agreed to help him find his missing parent. His eyes glistening with tears, the boy handed her something in a wordless gesture of thanks. It was a small, scuffed figurine of a kind and dignified woman. She was the heroine of a fairy tale, told and retold in the boy's native land. "She's you," said the boy as he broke out into a smile. But the girl just looked away, because she knew she did not help the boy out of kindness.
It's like, we're gonna look for his dad, and then, like, you know, if we find him and he's who we need to kill, we're gonna come up to this kid and be like, "I'm sorry. He left to go get milk. He'll be back soon." And that's gonna be that.
The girl needed to locate the politician's ship as soon as possible.
Crazy that dad fell down a flight of stairs.
Grasping the boy's hand, she began pulling him up the beach, hoping against hope he would see a familiar sight. Suddenly, his face brightened. "Father," he cried as he slipped from her hand and began to run. The girl raced off after him. Turning around, the father smiled as his son leapt into his waiting arms. "There you are," he said. "You almost made me miss my meeting." The father tilted his head to mutter a word of thanks to the girl, then began carrying his son onto the ship. A sliver of a smile flickered across the girl's face before vanishing as quickly as it came. almost as if it was never there at all. This was her ship. All that remained was to make her way aboard and learn what she could. She immediately began formulating her plan. But as her mind whirled, she noticed a woman moving silently into place behind her. The woman was familiar, for she came from the girl's own house. She had been sent to the port to monitor the girl and ensure the mission was a success. But they were never supposed to interact. Her appearance could only mean one thing. The situation had changed. The woman leaned down and whispered fiercely in the girl's ear. "He means to declare war. We must act. Leave none alive."
Oh. Well, I guess the kid's not going to, grow up without a father after all. They're all going to the same spot. You know, it's just, I love a happy ending. I say down a flight of stairs and right out the window. Record, Sunset Port, Part 4.
The deck was slick. The corpses were still. Her blade was red.
Did I miss something?
In less time than it takes to draw a breath, the girl and her monitor had slaughtered every last person on the ship. The woman wiped the blood from her blade with a practiced hand and spared a glance at her charge. Ever seen this many bodies before? Though the girl would not meet her gaze, she nodded slowly. Of course, too many times to count. The woman chuckled. Right. Forgot you are the boss's daughter. The girl sheathed her blade in silence. By chance, her eyes darted to the water, where she saw the figurine she had received slowly bobbing up and down. Hearing the boy's words in her mind, she dropped her eyes. He was right. She was exactly like the figure, a helpless thing being tossed about, an assassin forever at the mercy of the waves.
Well,
Years have passed since that day. The woman shakes her head to clear her thoughts as a bell rings out, announcing the arrival of a ship. She knows her targets are aboard. They are foreign politicians who scheme to infiltrate her homeland. Her mission is to prevent that by whatever means necessary. The woman stands some distance away and watches the passengers disembark. One particularly large man steps off clad in nothing but a loincloth. Must have been hot in there, thinks the woman idly. But the next person to step off brings a small shiver of delight. It is her target. Her lord's orders were clear. She was to prevent the invasion of her homeland. She was to kill the target with all speed. It was the same reason she had stained another ship in crimson all those long years ago. The reason why she took the life of the young boy. And the reason why she still remembers the figurine to this day. The one that was exactly like her. A haze of melancholy passes over her face as she looks out over the distant horizon. I wonder where that thing drifted off to. But she shakes off her momentary fugue and begins walking after her target. The footprints she leaves in the sand are stolen away by the waves.
Man, even the summer events are depressing. This is fine. Even the summer events are like, no. This isn't the anime beach episode I asked for. Also, I love that they just have Argo in, like, a fundoshi just because, like, that's one of his outfits and he was added during this event and they needed an excuse for him to just be there. It's like he just stepped off the ship and Akeha noticed him. You know, just as you do. That being said, for a small bit, I did ship Argo with frickin' Akeha because of this side story. Not anymore, though. Pretty soon there will be nothing to ship in this game. Record, Garden of Benediction. Whee! Time for the next one. These are making great audiobooks. Perhaps I will keep these for when I'm doing work in the future. Garden of Benediction, Part 1.
Once, a small girl lived in a town far away. Her family is poor, and though times are rough, she lives her life to its fullest as best she can. Her days are often spent playing alone in a ruin outside of town. She has no friends, so this rundown building is her only companion. Her days are ones of hardship. But today, she is filled with life and energy. Or so she desperately wants to believe. For today is her birthday.
Aww.
But there is no delicious feast waiting for her. No presents. And no one to celebrate her special day. Not even her parents. So instead, she celebrates alone. Happy birthday, she cries to herself, causing warmth to blossom in her chest. She spins in a circle, imagining herself as a beautiful ballerina. She sings, she dances, she tries all the fun things she can think to do. Because this is her birthday party. A day to forget the pain of everyday life. And more than anything else, she wants this day to be special.
It's fine. I'm not crying. You're crying. Fia deserved better than, like, everything life gave her. Holy. Just, it's fine. I didn't need to be happy. Doo-doo-doo.
The lonely birthday party continues. The next event takes place on a craggy stone table.
Mama's just beating up birds in the
girl
back.
begins forming something out of dirt and mud. It is a grand birthday cake, one far too big for a single person to consume. It seems impossible that someone so small can construct such a thing, let alone that she could build it at all. For her mother and father have never celebrated her birthday. Though she had always wanted a party, she knew her parents were too destitute to do such a thing. And as a result, She has no idea what a real cake is supposed to look like, or taste like, or smell like. The only thing she knows for certain is that they are delightful. More than anything, she wants to share a cake with her family someday. And with that dream in mind, she continues to build her creation.
She making herself a little mud cake. I never made mud cakes as a kid. I never really understood the point of them. But you know what? She can build her cake as big and as tall as she wants, and I'm not gonna say anything. That's her little trash cake, okay? Nobody can take that from her.
Her dirt cake slowly takes shape.
It's actually looking really good.
Though it is a tad off kilter, she finally completes it. But as she gazes at her creation, she notices something is missing. She needs to add something very, very important. And she knows exactly what it is. The cake has no candles. She begins searching for branches that can act as a suitable substitute. She knows she needs as many straight little twigs as her age. After a bit, she begins breaking off branches and whittling them down. She will not compromise on the candles. A cake only becomes grand with proper candles after all. Suddenly, a sweet scent wafts over her. It is the most lovely thing she has ever smelled. Was someone baking treats nearby, maybe? The question lingers in her mind as she finishes collecting her sticks. But when she turns back to her cake, she is greeted by an unbelievable sight. Her creation of dirt and mud has transformed into a real cake.
I cry. Mama doing what we all want to do for the little wee. Mama, the only mama Fio needs. 1000%. Hello.
The cake the girl worked so hard to make. White cream.
Oops.
Colorful fruit. The girl cannot hide her joy. Her cheers of celebration quickly turn into song.
Did you find the film?
The happiest birthday song ever sung fills the quiet of the ruin.
I've been on cast. I probably didn't see
And
it.
in the far-off shadows, something watches. It is a strange creature, neither human nor animal. It had been unable to turn away from the girl as she played, and could not help but interfere. Even though such a thing is forbidden. Just for today, this strange creature holds the warmest wishes for the girl. And seeing her smiling face, it knows these wishes have come true. Happy birthday, little one. Here's a present from Mama.
Happy half-year anniversary! This game made it to 3 years. That's That's wild. They were celebrating their half-year anniversary. They really didn't know how long this game was going to survive. Oh wait, shit. Where are the event stories? Alright. Yeah, I believe this gave us our celebratory outfits, question mark? Or at least one for feet. I don't know. I wasn't here for it, so maybe I am remembering it incorrectly. Alright, let's go ahead. Let's put on the Coffin of Repose. Which looks to be a story for the husband and the wife, but I don't actually remember this story and what it entails. Hey. Alright, that being said, the food is here. I'm going to hide and eat while this is going on.
These are the soldiers who battle the flowers that threaten humanity.
The flowers who threaten humanity, chat. Alright, let me get rid of my face, and then I'm gonna mute myself, but we are gonna keep recording these, because we don't have that much time left. It's the 27th. We have till the 29th to get through all of these stories, so I'm just kind of like, But yeah, give me a hot second, and I'll be right back.
They are treated no better than prisoners. Their every action and thought regulated and overseen as they are thrown without mercy into the maw of an endless war. One day, a pair of voices echo out from their base. They belong to a young recruit and his instructor. The recruit has made countless appeals to fight on the front lines, but the instructor has refused him every step of the way. Their constant back and forth has continued without pause from the moment they met. I will kill every last flower, even if it means my life, cries the recruit. The boy burns with his desire to fight. He seeks revenge against the flowers, the killers of his one true love. But rather than respond with anger of her own, the instructor gently urges him to reconsider. You need to focus on survival. You only get to die once. But such kindness reminds him of his late love, and only serves to fan the fires of vengeance in his heart. Once she sees what I'm capable of, she'll understand. The recruit has devoted himself to training with that one thought in mind. And though it never gained much traction with his instructor, he decides to make her a proposal. If I get top marks in our next virtual drill, you have to let me go on a mission. Before she can respond, he turns on his heel and exits the barracks. He needs to fight. He needs to avenge his love. His entire will is bent upon it. The recruit's participation in battle hinges on his performance in a virtual drill. When it is finished, he has the highest score by far. The other soldiers rush to his side, erupting with joy and claiming he holds the key to defeating their enemy. As they celebrate, The recruit turns to his instructor and regards her coldly. You have to let me fight now. You don't have a choice. As she readies herself to turn him down once more, the base commander suddenly appears. These are excellent results, says the commander. I look forward to seeing all of you perform in the next mission. The soldiers raise a hearty cheer at his praise, though the officer's razor smile hints at something deeper. Amidst the raucous cheering, the recruit hears his instructor whisper a single sentence. I am unable to stop them yet again. But he does not notice the meaning buried in her words. Since receiving permission to fight, the recruit has spent his every waking hour in intense training. The thought of his dead love burns in his heart as he imagines giving the flowers the justice they so richly deserve. Finally, the day of the mission arrives. The squad's morale is higher than ever. Inspired by their fellow recruits' fighting spirit, they have all been training especially hard. As they prepare to set out, the recruit's instructor meets his gaze somberly. I know what you are capable of. Just, please don't be reckless. Please. The recruit responds with a chuckle, as if her worry is the silliest thing imaginable. Don't worry, I've got this. When the battle with the flowers is over, he knows their fruitless quarrels can finally end. She will have no choice but to acknowledge his ability once she sees his skills in battle. He grips his sword tighter. His long-awaited campaign of revenge is now mere moments away. The soldier's first battle against the flowers has begun. The recruit breaks the dam on the ocean of vengefulness in his heart, hacking through countless numbers of flowers with his blade. When the intense battle finally comes to an end, an uneasy silence settles over the ruined city. Only one soul still draws breath. It is the instructor. She sits silently on the ground, cradling the corpse of the recruit who had fought so valiantly. The commanding officer arrives in a collection vehicle and scowls. Another failure, he mutters. Then another figure steps out from behind the officer. The eyes are a familiar, intense hue, one she has witnessed during countless arguments. They are identical to those of the corpse she now cradles in her arms. As the new arrival stares out at the grim battlefield, his face contorts into a sneer. I will kill every last flower, even if it means my life. How many times has it been now? As she considers what a pointless thought that is, she quietly replies to the new recruit. You need to focus on survival. You only get to die once. Yet her kind words are tinged by an endless echo of despair.
Hi Henry. Hi Izuku. Sorry, like I said, I'm like muted and like hiding my face just because like this is really messy, so I'm just kind of like trying to get through it as fast as possible. I'm okay, the weather's fine, I'm fine. I was sick, but I'm not sick anymore. But yeah, no. I like how these are like supposed to be fun little event stories, but man, are they sad. Alright, so let's go ahead, let's get through the Seat of Shadow, and I will be back whenever I'm done eating. Boop.
The boy stirs to wakefulness in an unfamiliar room. Beside him sits a silent clockwork man and a woman with a gentle smile. The boy had traveled countless unforgiving lands in an attempt to halt the cruel war staged by his own kingdom. Yet he now finds himself in the comfortable bed of a civilian. What happened? He asks. The man apologizes for acting on his own discretion. He explains how the woman came to their aid when the boy fell victim to a mighty seizure. As the boy begins to thank his rescuer, he silently curses the inadequacy of his frail and sickly body. But irony rules the day, and he launches into a coughing fit before he can finish speaking. The woman gently lowers the hacking boy back onto the bed. Sleep comes to claim him once more. Perhaps this is because illness has worn him to the bone, or perhaps it is due to the radiant warmth of her hands. As he drifts away, he takes a moment to appreciate the brief moment of respite. Several days have passed since the boy began his treatment in the woman's humble abode. He occasionally hears commotion erupt outside. The townsfolk talk of nothing save the war. The fires of battle spread daily across the land, and they fear their town will soon be set to burn. Eventually, their unease grows so great that a guard is dispatched to keep watch over the boy and man. I have to form my alliance as quickly as possible, thinks the boy. I must forge a peace among these warring nations. Despite the boy's conviction, his weakened body fights him at every turn. Instead of helping the people, he finds himself increasingly reliant on their aid. The pain of his fever and cough is soon joined by the endless throb of a guilty conscience. The woman tends him briskly and efficiently. Despite the raging war, her words are soft and kind. Despite her abject poverty, her food is warm and hearty. The situation begins to remind the boy of his childhood. As his thoughts spin, they finally alight on a particular memory. One from his earliest days as a child. It is the face of his mother, a woman who departed this world long, long ago. Slowly but surely, the boy progresses in his recovery. One day, a thought occurs to him. Why is this woman working so hard for me? And why does she remind me of my mother? The boy asks his clockwork companion if he knows anything of her circumstances. The man nods and reaches for a nearby picture frame that is turned face down. He flips it over to reveal a family photograph. The man then begins to speak of the room's history. This country keeps a database of all citizens, one he had been able to access. He continues speaking, his voice dry and emotionless. He tells the boy what he found in the records of the woman's family. The room in which they rest once belonged to her child. The same child who smiles so brightly in the photo. But the fires of war had claimed him some time ago. And just as the boy sensed his late mother in the woman, so too did she sense her late child in him. A time of respite, a woman's devotion, a veiled love. Pain shoots through the boy's heart, but it does not come from his illness. Instead, it comes from a realization that his own homeland is responsible for all of this.
All right, I'm done. Ugh. Go ahead and bring this back. Hi. Well, I'm glad that you didn't get hit by anything. This is one of the reasons why I would, like, actually never live in Florida. No offense to people who do, or, you know, who want to live there. It's just, you know, Between the hurricanes, the tornadoes, and everything else that hits those shores, I'm not sure if it's the place for me. Yeah. I'm happy you're okay, too. I hope that your luck continues to be fair.
The woman's endless devotion stems from her conflating the boy with her own dead child.
Bad baby.
A child that was killed by the very war the boy's homeland had started. This truth lay heavily on the boy's heart. Enough, he says to the clockwork man. I can stay here no longer. He dresses himself and uses his staff to rise from the bed. As the man reaches to steady the boy, the distant rumble of cannon fire rings out. It is the sound of lives being lost. The familiar footsteps of tragedy march ever closer. They threaten to engulf the house at any moment. The woman suddenly leaps from her bed and rushes to the pair, begging them not to leave. Let me go, says the boy. I am not your son. I am from the kingdom, and royal blood flows in my veins. Shock breaks out across the woman's face before slowly morphing into hatred. It's your fault, she growls. Your fault. My son is dead, and it's all your fault. She lets forth an agonized howl, the pain of a mother tormented by an immutable past. Yes, replies the boy. I am responsible. He bows his head deeply. He knows he is the target of her hatred, and he knows that it is earned. As they abandon the house, the boy's fever spikes, and the pain threatens to blot out his consciousness. But he continues stumbling on. He will protect the woman and her house. He will stop the war. He will bear the burden of hate for as long as he must. That is why he walks on, and why he never looks back.
I'm not crying. You're crying. It's still Christmas where she's at. Yes. Listen, I like the tree, okay? It's probably gonna get put away at some point. But oof. I look different. Yeah. I've no doubt got more pudgy. But you know. It is what it is. Also, sorry if I'm coughing. I'm still getting over. It's not that I'm getting over it. I just have a really bad lingering cough that just will not go away. But I'm hoping it goes away soon. Okay, so the next one is Record Blood Oath's Edge. Again, like I said, I'm trying not to talk too much during the story portions, but we can talk in between them. That being said, I hate that Rion's like, oh, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's technically not. His dad's just a warlord. It's not his fault that his, like, dad controls the entire army. But alas, his story is over. It's time for us to go to this one, which I think is about Noelle. Question mark? Oh, it's Zero.
A woman and a dragon, both covered in wounds, trudge across a beach.
Hey.
The woman's name is Zero. She is a powerful swordswoman with a flower where her right eye should be. The dragon's name is Mikhail. He is a young white dragon with the power of speech. Both of them stand on the doorstep of death. Blood flows freely from their wounds. It leaves a snaking trail of red along the coast. The army that has been following this trail now closes in on them. "Kill the traitors," they cry. This is the end. They can run no further. The woman grips her sword, steeling her resolve. The dragon lets fly with a howl in response. It cannot end here. They must live.
Oh dear. But yeah, no, I moved to Rhode Island. I don't know if you were around for my plans to do that or not, but yeah, I'm no longer in Texas. I went from one of the biggest states to one of the smallest.
The disguised assassin and her assistant set off to kill the enemy commander. As she had been...
I clicked on the wrong thing. Oops. I was like, wait a minute. What happened? Why did it take me to this? Said help. Hold on. Did I fuck up somewhere? I thought we were talking about 0. Hold. Yeah, what the hell? It took me to the wrong one. Skulking around. He's right there. He's about to get on the big screen, so that way he can play through some, Stellar Blade.
Who's talking shit?
It's this one, right? No. Where the... game? It's this? Nope. Not the shadow. It is this one. Yes. So now we want this one. Does that mean he stopped Yakuza? He finished all the Yakuza games except for the most recent one.
This is true.
He still needs to get through the last game in the series.
Yeah, I finished them all before Infinite Wealth and got burned out, so I didn't play Infinite Wealth.
He did.
The soldiers rush at them like waves from the sea. The swordswoman fights back, blood spraying from her wounds. In the midst of it all, something appears in the corner of her reddened vision. She sees the dragon collapse. Countless blades stick out from his white flesh. As the dragon lies in the sand, he ekes out a meager cry. The woman's hair rises in anger, and she immediately cleaves the soldier before her in twain. Sand flies as she rushes to the dragon's side. "I won't let you die." The woman stands in front of the dragon to shield him. Thump. The next thing she knows, an arrow is embedded deep into her chest. As she reaches up to pull it out, another follows. She lifts her head and stares at her enemy. But a third arrow finds its mark in her eye, as though they had been aiming for that very spot. Her sword slowly falls from her bloody fingers.
Infinite Wealth, I think, is the most recent one. He's definitely beaten the man with no name, so. Also, I don't think it's a good idea to aim for Zero's eye. That flower tends to go very... That flower tends to not like it whenever Zero is in pain. That flower... Did I skip... Did I do story 3 or story 2? I'll just scream. It's fine. Yeah, okay, no, part 3. We're fine. We're good.
The woman's beating heart slows. The soldiers raise a mighty cheer. The traitor has been struck down. With only the dragon left, the soldiers move in to finish it off. But then, the woman's corpse begins to scream.
Oh dear.
As if responding to the scream, the flower in her eye glows red. And in the next instant, it swells up to an incredible size. Suddenly, another human spills from the flower, covered in blood. It is the swordswoman, reborn. She is a demon with the strength of the flower on her side. This cannot be the end. This cannot be the end. The revived woman attacks the soldiers with empty hands. She strikes down one after another with sheer brute force. But she is still greatly outnumbered. Swords penetrate her body, one after the next. She screams again and again and again. Yet each time, she is reborn from the flower. Her limbs are severed, her skull is shattered, her heart is pierced. Yet she comes back each time and falls upon her foe with renewed fury. It is a never-ending nightmare.
From what I've seen, it looks like a fun game. I've grown to really like some of the outfits that she's got. The red ones are so good. Stellar booty. I came inspired by Borderlands and something else. Nier? I was gonna say. Automata? If I was a soldier, I would have just said, alright, I give up after seeing it the first time. Yeah, I was gonna say, who thinks it's a good idea if, like, a demon flower births another swordswoman, like, to just stick around? It's like, alright, no, she's got, like, she's got 99 lives, and I'm gonna die before her last one. Oh, Sandland, not Stellarblade. Oh, okay, I was gonna say, wait. I'm late, don't mind me. Like I said, I'm tapped out coloring freaking webcomic pages, so don't mind me if I'm late to the conversation. I love Zero. She's so good.
Finally, the woman collapses in the sand. Her sharp, ragged breaths slowly take on a sense of normalcy. The battle is over. The only sound is that of the waves enveloping the crimson beach. Soon, the dragon's eyes flutter open. He looks over the mountains of dead soldiers, then back to the woman. Thanks for saving me, Zero. His voice is that of an innocent child, a terrible mismatch for its massive size. I only did what anyone should, the woman replies. The woman knows one absolute in her life. She must protect him. A flower blooms in her right eye. It is a cursed, loathsome power that would destroy the world. And only a dragon can extinguish it. Once you grow up and become stronger, I will have to tell you of my final wish. But until then, I will protect you, no matter how many of my lives it may cost.
Oh yeah, Toriyama. Aw. Rip the goat. I was not a DBZ kid, but I did grow up watching it. And so like, it's like one of those things where it's like, I feel like everybody from my generation and later grew up on Dragon Ball in some way, shape, or form. Okay, I think this was Zero's. Okay, Blood Oath's Edge is Zero's. This is just gonna take me a minute. Alright, the Rhythm Citadel is the next one. I'm really happy that they did a Drakengard 3 thing. There was a Dragon Quest event, and I missed it. I'm sorry, guys. No Dragon Quest event, only Tears. Another series that I have to play, that I haven't played. Speaking of. Toyotaro has the motherfucking world on his back right now for a guy. Let me see. Okay, yeah, no, this is an Akaha story. Enjoy! We're getting through these fairly quickly. Yeah, no, I know.
Flickering lamplight, glossy fingertips. In a corner of a manor, a woman is focused on decorating her beautiful nails. Her garments are just as impressive and alluring as her fingers. But unlike the rest of the courtesan's fanciful appearance, her eyes are cold steel. Behind her, a man peeks around a folding screen. When he spies the woman's red nails, he lets out a low whistle. Surprising how much you look the part, he chuckles. You'd never know you were actually a merciless killer. The woman's only reaction is to blow lightly across her nails. But he is correct. She is an assassin pledged in loyalty to a great lord. Her courtesan's dress is a disguise to deceive her latest target. The bemused man has been tasked with leading her to the object of her work. She has been ordered to find the commander of an army set in opposition to her lord. The commander has a well-deserved reputation for both lewdness and depravity. Her task this night is to end his life by whatever means necessary. The woman and man exchange a few brief words, confirming the outline of their plan. In the dark of night, the wheels of a bloody scheme slowly begin to turn.
The wheels of schemes are turning. Oh no. No, I haven't done the crossover yet. I did the Drakengard one. We got through Zero's story. All this is doing is reminding me that I've got like a never-ending thing of games that I need to play at some point.
The disguised assassin and her assistant set off to kill the enemy commander.
Oh shit, I forgot to stick it on auto.
As she had been asked for directly by a man of such high rank, it is a simple thing for them to leave the pleasure district. When they arrive at the castle, the guards escort them to a door of magnificent construction. Once there, they forbid the man from going any further. They then turn their gazes to the woman, not even attempting to hide their lust. "Do well," says the man before he vanishes back down the hall. "Do very well indeed." The woman is brought into an inner room. The commander looks her up and down, a prurient smile smeared across his face. "I have been waiting for you," he murmurs. Before another moment can pass, the guards grab the woman and bind her. Though her freedom of movement has been stolen, she continues gazing at the commander with a cool, almost bored expression. His only response is to bellow with laughter. My, he cries. It seems even the most infamous of demons is nothing but a child once robbed of her mettle. He wipes a thin line of spit from his mouth before continuing. "Oh yes, my dear. I know all about your plan. Your little friend was happy to tell all he knew in exchange for some of my gold. It's betrayal then, she thinks. Betrayal for coin. But this truth is cold comfort, for she is now alone and forsaken in the heart of her enemy's territory."
They're really doing a good job of making this man sound like Hojo. Not the tongue. It's like, why I always have to do weird mouth shit? Not the Hojo squeak. We do not enjoy this in this house. Dun dun dun.
The assassin had disguised herself as a courtesan and entered the enemy's base in order to slay their commander. But the work of a treacherous spy now finds her bound in front of her would-be target. The commander leers at his assassin with scorn. His face expands into a grin. "You came here disguised as a courtesan," he says. "Perhaps it's time you served that purpose." He looks at the guards as he says this, and they respond eagerly. But then, a faint shadow of surprise moves across his face. There is a slight sound, almost a whistle, and then an utter, perfect silence. A single hairpin juts out from the commander's forehead. The man crumples to the ground with a soft thud. In the same moment, the rope binding the woman's wrists falls to the floor in 2 neat pieces. Panicked, the guards draw their swords, but they have been a step behind all along. The woman allowed herself to be bound in order to lower their defenses and reduce the number of enemies present. And she made sure her carefully filed nails were sharp enough to sever any rope. Nothing had been left to chance. Slowly, so slowly, She raises her hands and extends the fingers. Her polished red nails are the talons of some great and terrible beast. And when the alarm drum finally sounds and guards come swarming into the room, all they find is a woman drenched in blood.
Well, alrighty then. She actually said, nope, not today. She pulled a Lady Deathstrike with those nails. I forgot how this story goes, so I was genuinely surprised that, like, the nails actually had, like, a purpose. That's really cool. I feel like that's the one person you don't want to betray is an assassin. They're literally hired to kill people.
The man who betrayed the assassin had received a great sum of money for his efforts. The knight now finds him miles from the enemy camp. As he counts his coins, a broad smile crosses his face. "Do well," he whispers. "Do very well indeed." His final words had not been meant for his assassin partner. They were instead meant for her guards. But there is no way she could have known, which makes his betrayal all the sweeter. As he thinks on this, an indescribable feeling of amusement wells up inside of him. Chuckling, he lifts his hand and prepares to sweep the pile of coins into his purse. But he is stopped by a sudden, terrible pain. A familiar blade has pinned his hand to the ground. Standing in front of him is the very woman he had been laughing about not a moment before. Cold sweat drips into the wound, and the man cries out. In a high, nervous voice, he begins to stammer out a pathetic series of apologies. "My daughter is sick. I needed the money for her treatment." But the woman simply continues to appraise him coldly. When she speaks, her face is a mask. "It's not personal," she says. "You're just another target. I knew you would betray me from the start." As she raises her blade, she glances down at the man's skewered hand. The blood pouring from the wound paints his nails red, almost as though he had intended for them to look that way. The woman stares at them for a moment before uttering the last words the spy would ever hear. Those don't suit you at all."
She actually read him into the afterlife. That's wild. That's not your color, she says as she kills this man. It's fine. Alright, so that was Rhythm Citadel. We're getting through these pretty quickly, actually. Holy. Hold on, where's the extra story? Nope, event stories. Let's see. Next is the Path of Longing. I have no idea who this is for. Question marks. Path of Longing. Well, we're about to find out. We're about to find out, I guess. Doo-doo-doo. Oh, it's Noelle.
She knows there is a place she must go, but she doesn't know where. She needs to know more if she is to reach her destination. Her lack of knowledge is daunting, so she spends her days aimlessly wandering the streets of ruined cities. Finally, she comes across an old, tattered book. It is a valuable source of information in this lost and empty land. Yet, ages of exposure to the elements make deciphering its blurred images and letters all but impossible. But just as she is about to set the book down, a small bird tumbles from the top of a nearby tree. It appears to be badly injured. Its wings are uneven, and blood is smeared across a gap in the poor creature's feathers. It wriggles and flops in the grass, desperately trying to move its injured wing. It is painful to watch. After a moment, the girl speaks to the bird. "Is there somewhere you want to go?" The bird chirps quietly, as if in response to her question.
Rip the bird. She's gonna take the bird on an adventure with her. That's so cute. Next study. I'm thirsty. Hold on. My water. Oh, the thirst.
The girl has encountered an injured bird on her journey. It now sits in her palm, its gaze fixed firmly in one direction. The same direction it was attempting to fly. The bird clearly has a powerful desire to go there. The girl rips a strip of cloth from her garments and wraps it around the wing to hold it in place. Fortunately, the wound is not serious. It should heal in a few days with rest. This done, she places the bird atop her head. She still has no clue as to her destination. But with her own quest at a loss, she has decided to help the bird instead. As the girl stands, the bird begins to chirp incessantly. Something is causing it to panic. Spurred on by the bird, the girl rushes forward, only to hear a deep rumble close behind. An aged building has collapsed, burying the tree where they had been resting only a moment before. "You saved me, little bird," she says. The bird sings out in reply, creating a song that sounds almost boastful.
Clearly this Nier subplot about a bird can only have a happy ending. Yeah, Noelle obviously made a friend, and, you know, it's just her traveling companion for the rest of her story. She just, you know, left it somewhere whenever we went to fight on the moon. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's so cute!
The girl and the bird continue their journey.
Look at it!
And while the empty city is harmless for the girl, it is a den of predators for the bird. One day, a starving beast blocks their path. "It's time to repay my debt," thinks the girl as she readies her spear. she nimbly feints an attack at the beast. Startled, it bolts off deeper into the city. But as it does, she feels a piece of cloth flutter down past her eyes. It is a piece of her clothing, the one she used to wrap the bird's wing. Something is wrong. My head feels lighter. The bird. After frantically looking around, she spies the little bird flying raggedly toward a particular building. Though its wound is not yet healed, it summons some inner reserve and flaps with all its might. So that's where it wanted to go. She follows her companion to the building. Once there, she slips through the broken entryway and ventures inside.
Me waiting for that little bird to get killed. Maybe it has babies, you know? Maybe she's just gonna find a family of babies and, like, you know, leave the bird to be with its family, and she's gonna, you know, it's just it's just gonna be a nice story.
The girl follows the energetic beating of the bird's wings to its destination. The quiet space is filled with song. And there, in the middle, is a small nest. The bird had been heading home. A tightness settles in the girl's chest at the sight. She is alone. She has no family, no home she can return to. Her pain grows as she watches the little bird warble happily in concert with its parents. I need to find my own destination now. She gives the bird a small wave and turns to leave. But before she can take another step, she suddenly realizes where she is. Wait, this is a library. Uncountable shelves line the walls. Each one is filled with books in perfect condition. Books with legible writing. If she can somehow get a grasp on the local language, she might be able to learn where she is. She reaches out a single trembling hand and rests it on the spine of a tome. Her new traveling companion has given her a most wonderful gift. She withdraws a book and opens it gently, her mouth twisting into a slight smile.
That was it? Oh. She found a book. Yay. That was a wild story, though. I guess since she's trying to find a spot, like, she wants to find the beach that her sister was looking for, right? So maybe she found directions, you know? Beach. Well, either way, it's time for the Bridge of Supplication. Oh, this is another Rion story. I love that for me. Hi there, Osiris. Welcome in. I'm doing good. We're just going through these stories.
A boy of royal blood wanders the land after being exiled from the kingdom of his birth. His clockwork attendant is forever at his side. On this particular day, they come across a small village. But as they move to enter it, trouble begins to brew. Villagers emerge from their homes and immediately surround the pair.
Oh dear.
Pursuers from the kingdom, thinks the boy. But how did they manage to find us in such an out-of-the-way place? As the boy shifts nervously, the clockwork man drops a hand to the revolver at his side. But after a moment, it becomes clear the villagers have no idea who they are. Then why do they seem so worried? What are they afraid of? The boy asks the villagers to tell him of their problems, and quickly learns he is in the red area of the village, an area eternally at war with the green. They do not know when this conflict started. They do not know why this conflict started. They know only that it is. This war is an unending legacy, passed down from one generation to the next. We should go, the attendant says to the boy. This is not our fight. Yet, the boy does not move.
Oh, this is a Christmas one. This is the Christmas story. This was the first Christmas story that I got from this game. I remember you. Very slightly, but I remember you. These cities sound like the dwarves in Final Fantasy XIV.
The red villagers mill about with weapons in hand, ready to attack their green foes at a moment's notice. But just when it seems conflict is inevitable, the boy speaks. I know of a foreign ritual which can guarantee victory in any battle. It is a secret rite passed down from a people who have never known defeat. If we were to conduct this ritual, the gods would surely grant victory. Though the Reds are skeptical at first, the boy's charismatic speech and demeanor strike a powerful chord, and they are soon chattering away excitedly. How do we conduct this ritual? Will you teach it to us? We must do it at once. Calm, my friends, says the boy. While I am willing to show you this ritual, I see none of the special green wood required for the ceremony. Alas, such wood grows only in the area of the village where the Greens live. With no other choice, the Reds reluctantly don disguises and head off to trade for the wood they need. As the boy watches them scurry away, he exchanges a glance with his clockwork companion. The man stares at him for a moment, confused. For there is a faint smile on the boy's face. It is an expression he has never seen before.
This child is about to punk all of them. I cannot. Okay, next.
As the Reds make their way back with the wood, the boy slips away to the green section of the village and begins his speech anew. I know of a foreign ritual which can guarantee victory in any battle. But alas, I see none of the special red silk required for the ceremony. Though the Greens are skeptical at first, the boy's fine words and confident speech soon convince them. With no other choice, the Greens reluctantly don disguises and head off to trade for the silk they need. As the boy watches them scurry away, his companion turns to him. I know not of this ritual, my prince. Where did you hear of it? The boy rubs at his cheek and chuckles. Then he leans over to the man and whispers, I do not know of it either. The boy sounds positively delighted at this admission, which confuses the man even further.
The toaster.
And as he gazes at his companion's bewildered expression, the boy's smile grows even larger.
Poor Demos is like, I have no idea what's happening. My prince, you are just confusing me. If you do not know of the ritual, why are you telling this to them? My prince, I do not understand. Please elaborate. Error does not compute.
The boy and his companion have been in the village for a week.
Oh shit, that's right. It's not on auto. Send help.
The entire town is now festooned with bright, festive decorations. Red silk and green wood form a rich interplay of color and shape. It is enough to make even the coldest heart leap with joy. From a distance, the boy and his companion watch the village's transformation. This is the true victory I promised them, says the boy. Once the intermingling of red and green is wrought, the ritual will be complete. Then this was your goal all along, replies the man. The boy chuckles softly and nods his head. It is so much more beautiful this way, don't you think? But then, the reds and greens begin to quarrel. Our decorations are the finest, says a red. No, replies a green. Ours are clearly the most beautiful of all.
Oh no.
Though voices are raised, it does not lead to violence, for neither side carries a weapon. Instead of warring, the argument turns to a discussion about how both sides can make the decorations even better. As they confer, a pair of smiling children race past, shrieking with delight at some invented game. One red, one green, yet both enjoying the ritual with their newfound friend. And though the boy caused all this to happen, not a single person comes to offer him thanks for his actions. Are you all right with this, my prince? Asks the clockwork man. The boy nods in the gathering dusk, his mind awhirl with possibility. Perhaps he can replicate what happened here within his own kingdom. This is his sweet and painful hope. After a moment, he turns his back on the village and begins to walk. His attendant silently follows. The clockwork man ponders the future of the village. He knows they may once again pick up their weapons and war with one another. But their children now know a world where colors blend. And those children will live on.
Oh, that's really sweet. Yeah, I know. At least the Christmas one was nice. A good ending, and then they remind us that this is a Nier depression game. Yup. The N in Nier stands for nihilism. Okay. Oh, wait, shit. I don't remember what it was called. Maybe it was Rhythm Citadel? Nope. It's been a minute. Hold on. Path of Longing. The Bridge of Supplication? Yes. Okay, so we want the one after this one. It's fine. And then we want Festive Fountain. A Fountain of Hope. Or a Fountain of Despair. Who knows? I don't remember this one. I don't remember a lot of them. My brain's smooth. I was just after the gems. Oh.
In a distant village, people busy themselves with New Year's festivities. Within this place lies a beautiful spring, known as the Fountain of Hope. Today, a woman stares at this most hallowed sight with ferocity in her eyes. Nearby men turn their leering gazes on her fine features. But after their eyes rest on her for a moment, they quickly find other ways to occupy their time. For the woman's left arm and leg are military prosthetics, tools of war that shine dully in the setting sun. The scent of blood and death hangs about the woman. She is an omen of calamity. And it is the expectation of catastrophe that has brought her to this place. For she was told by an informant that the loathsome kingdom is targeting the village. The kingdom knows the villagers let their guard down during the New Year's festivities, and it now schemes to lay them low in one fell swoop. The fact they are using clockwork men for this deed tells the woman it will be a massacre, deaths beyond counting. She knows the assault can come at any time. So as the people increase their revelry, her watchful eye grows ever more keen. Suddenly, she finds herself approached by children clad in strange and exotic costumes. Easy, she reminds herself. They're not part of the kingdom's plan. They're just kids. She expects the young ones to scatter when they see her false limbs, but to her great surprise, they instead gather around her with bright, shining smiles.
These kids are alright. So this is a Gale New Year's thing.
The children are costumed as fairies, a tradition of long standing in this part of the world. As the bewildered woman looks on, one of them steps forward and speaks. "Did your wish come true this year, ma'am?" As she contemplates her answer, one of the children holds out an offering on the palm of their hand. It is an intricately carved glass bead filled with water from the spring. A ghostly sort of moonlight shimmers on its surface as it wobbles back and forth. "It's a good luck charm," says the child. "We make them here." The woman recalls how she had seen the children running through town earlier, handing small baubles to the adults. This must be one of their traditions. A rite where kids dress as wish-granting fairies and hand out charms to everyone they meet. As understanding dawns, the woman's brow furrows. She does not have time for such folly. "Others need this more than me," she says, placing the charm back into the stunned child's hand. "Give it to them instead." She looks away, hoping to avoid the child's eyes. She does not need charms, or luck, or rights. She needs only revenge. She does not have the capacity to wish for everyone to be saved. It is simply not in her nature. The children stare at her, confused by her tragic expression. Then, not knowing what else to do, they say the words that complete the rite. "We hope all your wishes come true." Time passes. She waits. At midnight, fireworks blaze across the sky to herald the arrival of the new year. Their brilliance signals the climax of the festivities. The village and surrounding lands are bathed in a warm, flickering glow. One that reveals a heavily armored force moving slowly over the horizon.
She's like, "It's showtime." She's like, "I came here to drink apple juice and kick ass, and I'm all out of apple juice." Doo-doo-doo.
Oh shit. Huh. That's cool.
Fireworks turn the night sky to dawn.
Oh, shit.
Explosions spiral flesh and bone high into the air. The fountain of hope bubbles quietly. Blood trickles from the mouths of the dying. The festival, once a celebration, has become a rondo of despair. A clockwork soldier with dead eyes raises his fist before the group of wish-granting children who can only cling to their charms and pray. A flash. The screeching of metal on metal. The woman has blocked the soldier's attack with her sword. The look on her face is a thing beyond words, beyond reason. Perhaps enraged, perhaps conflicted, she pushes the soldier back and cleaves him cleanly in two. She then hurries the children into a nearby house. It will be difficult to save them on her own, perhaps impossible, but she intends to try. "Be silent," she says. "With any luck, your parents are still." Her words falter and die in the dark. Bloodied clockwork men begin emerging from nearby homes,
Well, all right
one
then.
after the other. Each carries the corpse of a parent high in the air, as if displaying the fruits of a great hunt. Lit by the explosion of a firework, she can see it all far too clearly. The children begin to scream, as if realizing their work is yet incomplete. The soldiers casually drop their prizes and turn to the sound. Fear grips the woman, but she buries it deep inside and makes ready their escape. Somehow, impossibly, she manages to lead them all to the outskirts of town. And when she turns back to see it in flames, she suddenly realizes what must be done.
It's like, yay, haha, happy Christmas story. Oh, the New Year story, we're back to sad. All the kids' parents are dead. The end. It's fine. It's fine. I just need to be happy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Also missed. Hi. I'm working on my webcomic while listening like an audiobook, so ooh.
The woman orders the panicked children to hide.
So we have until the 2 a.m. 1 to 2 a.m. on the 30th. So we're gonna be doing the side stories today, maybe starting the Dark Memory quest, I don't know. And then tomorrow we're gonna finish up the Dark Memory quest that I have, and then after that we're gonna go ahead and, I don't know, we're just gonna futz around until the game shuts down on the next day. So yeah, that's kind of sort of just my plan. But, yeah.
They are sobbing, inconsolable. This is our fault, they wail. Our charms were not powerful enough. Actually, says the woman, I would like one of those charms now. Her voice is gentle, soothing. It is a thing so unfamiliar to her. Yet it is the same voice she used all those years ago with the one she held so dear, the one she tried so hard to save. It is a voice that soothes the weakened, and it works a kind of calming magic on the children. She takes one of the good luck baubles in hand before turning back to town. As the children begin to pray, they grip their remaining charms tightly enough to leave deep marks on the palms of their tiny hands. To think the kingdom would try to steal hope from one so young. They are beyond forgiveness. But rather than rage, it is hope that drives her toward battle this day. Minutes pass. Hours. The sun finally begins its slow march across the sky. Just as the children's despair is threatening to overtake them, the woman returns. Her body is ablaze in crimson, her breath a series of ragged gasps. In one hand, she grasps a number of severed heads, all that remain of the clockwork soldiers. In her other, she grips a bloody, tattered charm. She speaks then, softly but sternly. You see, my wish came true. So all of you need to pray to your charms. You need to live. You need to thrive. It's all right to cling to things you cannot see. So find that hope and never let it go. And when you have children of your own, make sure to pass it down to them as well. Her voice falters. Are her words true? Or is she simply trying to convince herself? she doesn't even know anymore. As she turns and walks away, the tears of the children begin their long descent to the earth below. And though their sadness threatens to overwhelm them, they continue to hold tightly to their charms. And to their hope.
So, like, she just left this city full of children. Isn't this gonna be like, what's that, something of the Lord of the Flies? Isn't this gonna create a Children of the Corn situation? I don't know if you should just leave a bunch of kids by themselves in an abandoned village that is with all the parents massacred, Gale. I don't think that that's very responsible of you. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Den of Madness time. Oh, I remember this one. Rain. It's fine.
Scoundrels and bounty hunters gather in a dingy tavern, their voices low in the gloom. Soon, a lone woman pushes through the doors. The men turn to Lear, not bothering to hide their lust. But to a man, they turn away as quickly as they first looked, the color draining from their faces. For the woman's left arm and leg are prosthetics, gleaming artificial limbs meant to deliver one thing: death. She strides to the wanted posters plastered on the bulletin board. One in particular catches her eye. It reads, "Wanted for serial murder of young girls." It seems this one has a preferred victim. The image of the woman's late sister rises in her mind. Flames of anger flare in her heart. She peels the wanted poster off the board and takes her leave of the establishment. Her mission in life is to find such men and snuff them out.
She's like, I usually only target the royal family, but this one, I will make an exception for this one. Get him, Gale. Get him, Gale, get him.
She walks slowly through the streets, searching for a lead. The shabby town is an all too familiar sight. She has done this for times beyond counting. She has collected endless bounties. But it was never for the money. In the end, hate is what drives her. Hate for all that is evil in the world. But no matter how many evildoers she kills, the lives they steal never come back. And evil never seems to diminish. A tiny seed of doubt begins to take root in her heart. But she balls her fist, crushing the poster in her grip. The seed withers and dies as she does. She can never lose sight of her path. Her own power is the only thing that sustains her.
It's like, well, you know. I'm so cold. My feet don't have sockies on.
She finds the killer in a run-down manor at the edge of town. The moment she enters the premises, she freezes. Countless traps lie in wait for her. Carefully, she picks her way forward, avoiding them as best she can. She corners the killer in a back room. He wears the face of a mean and cowardly man. But in his fear, the man begins to laugh wildly. Behind him, bound in chains, is a young girl. The man scuttles over and wraps his arms around her. "No," he cackles. "You cannot have her. She is my magnum opus." He laughs and laughs and laughs. Suddenly, the woman's sword licks out and separates the man's useless head from his body. He never saw it coming.
Never see
Yet
it.
even in death, he continues to smile.
It's like, this is fine. You never see it coming, you see. My luck today is bad. Well, it's a good thing I'm not rolling.
With the killer dispatched, the woman moves to the girl and releases her bonds. But the moment the last chain slips to the floor, the girl screams and attacks her. She holds a hidden knife in her hand. "Like he taught me," she cries. "I'll do it just like he taught me." The woman has no choice but to act. Her prosthetic arm comes up to block the girl's attack, while the other plunges a sword into her chest. Light slowly returns to the girl's eyes. "Mommy?" Her fingers extend, seeking a happiness that has long abandoned her. Her strength wanes. Her breathing stops. The light fades. Though the woman has never doubted her own strength, she finds herself faced with a new question. What is my power even for? But the girl's corpse refuses to answer. In the silence, the only sound is the dripping of her blood.
Alrighty then. This is fine. I say sarcastically because it's not really fine, but you know, we just... Alright, well that was Den of Madness, you know. I'm starting to see a pattern with Gail's stories just being really sad. Alright, now it's time for Foundation of Fortune, and it looks like this has to do with Lars? Question mark? Me screaming. Foundation of Fortune, part 1.
A military base stands on the front lines in a war with another country. In one of its hidden corners, a young boy sits alone. His cheerless gaze is enough to fend off any who might seek to keep his company. He sharpens his blade, an act which serves as wordless warning for the man who ended his parents' life. But at that moment, another soldier approaches. The grin on his face suggests a scheme is in motion. "Captain wants you," he says. The boy grimaces despite himself. He does not believe he has done anything to warrant punishment, yet he knows he has done nothing to merit praise. This confusion annoys him, as does the constant thin smile of his compatriot. After a moment, he arrives at a decision. He will play along for the time being. The boy follows the other man, who soon leads them to a group of their fellow soldiers. He tenses, his hands curling into fists as he readies himself for a fight. And then... we survived the year. A raucous cheer erupts from the group. As the soldiers embrace each other with whoops of pure joy, the boy stands off to the side, dumbstruck. But when the drinking songs begin, he finally forces himself to accept the situation. They didn't bring me here to torture me. They brought me here to celebrate.
Which is torture in its own right, probably. Lars doesn't do fun. Him and Gale are very similar in that they really only do the whole revenge thing. Everything else can kind of eat kick. Everyone else can kick rocks.
As the boy enjoys the celebratory feast, his squad mates raise their voices in a round of merry boasting. I was a demon out there. The enemy ran as soon as they saw me coming. Yeah, but I'm the one who claimed their leader's head. The boy finds himself shaking his head in silent disapproval of this carefree swagger. Suddenly, a glass of strong drink is placed in his hand. "Enjoying yourself?" asks a calm voice. It belongs to their leader, the one they all call Captain Craven behind his back. The men of the squad have long scoffed at how quick their captain is to retreat from battle, and the boy shares their dim view of his competence. "How was this year for you?" continues the man. Though the questions are meant as the easiest of small talk, they lay as stones on the boy's heart. For despite an entire year of searching, the object of his revenge remains as distant as when he began. Thinking of this, shame suddenly pierces his chest like a bullet, and he absently tosses the cup aside. The crisp shattering of glass brings the hall to silence. Thick, red liquid slowly pools across the ground. It reminds him of his parents. Ignoring the captain, ignoring his companions, the boy bolts up from his seat and flees the hall.
All right then. I'm gonna take that as you didn't really have a very good year, you know? Happens to the best of us. He's probably thinking to himself. Griff just sitting there like, well, that could have gone better, I guess.
When the boy finally stops running, he finds himself in an unremarkable spot some distance from camp. His body is quaking with shame, regret, rage. What have I even been doing for the last year? Buffeted on all sides by a sense of helplessness, he erupts in a scream, launching every vile oath he knows into the uncaring wind. But as he fights to regain the breath he expended on his outburst, the captain suddenly appears. The boy shoots him a glare filled with resentment. With his fevered breathing finally under a modicum of control, he stares at the man and issues his own order. You will send me to the battlefield. The captain's eyes waver as he attempts to read his subordinate. He's a coward through and through, thinks the boy smugly. He'll do it. He has no choice. But instead, the captain shakes his head and meets the boy's stunned gaze. No, he says. I will not. I won't send out a soldier who isn't ready. The boy's brow furrows with a mixture of doubt and surprise. But the captain continues, almost as if trying to provoke him. Your worries control you. You know that, right? And if that doesn't change, you will fail. The words are a jagged thorn in the boy's very soul. Unable to control himself, he lets out a feral scream and rushes his captain. But the other man only looks back at him with an expression of profound pity.
He's like, oh shit, here we go again. It's like, why do I always get the crazy ones? Why can't I just have normal subordinates?
The boy's vision is red, his mind madness. He can think of nothing save savaging the human standing in front of him. But his assault finds only empty air. The captain sees through his attack and sidesteps it with a casual grace that speaks to his long years of experience. The boy stumbles as he misses, his arms flailing pitifully in the air. A moment later, one hand makes a sad thump of contact with the captain's chest before slowly slipping away. The boy is crestfallen beyond all measure. But rather than chiding the boy, the captain takes a step back and speaks to him in a calm and measured tone. You have things you want to accomplish. I know this. And that's why I'm so proud that you made it through the year. You're making progress. And if you can just manage to stay alive, I know you'll do great things. The boy stares back at him, stunned. The past year, the same one he had written off as a failure not a minute before, was now being acknowledged as a rousing success. Confused, the boy spins on a heel and begins to walk away, but the captain calls after him. We'll celebrate next year, too. The boy continues walking, muttering a single word. Whatever. And yet, the rage he so clearly felt does not hang so heavily on him now. It's as if clouds have parted ever so slightly on the turbulent storm of his heart. He finds this feeling to be terrifying. For if his anger departs, what is left of him?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could have friendship. Maybe you could make a friend. Alright, well that was Foundation of Fortune. Let's go ahead and do the Valley of Light. Oh, this is an Argos story. Very few of these. Is this the Christmas one? Listen to your father.
Distant peaks, hidden lakes, majestic waterfalls. These are but some of nature's many strongholds, temples that refuse entry to mere mortals. They are secluded lands of great mystery. To conquer one is a magnificent feat indeed. This man is an adventurer who continually challenges such untrodden regions. He is the type who plunges into situations with abandon, armed with nothing but tempered muscle and honed wit. People who knew him when he was but a young sprout all say the same. He's changed, that one. Decades prior, the man was a hunter obsessed with treasure. Ruined castles and ancient tombs were the only places that could attract and hold his attention. And on occasions where he returned with a few coins in his pocket, he would head straight for the tavern to get violently drunk. As his reputation grew, people began to avoid him. But he paid no mind what others thought, instead setting off in search of his next fortune.
Well, alrighty then. Ba-da-bum. So this is probably before he met his wife. My fucking butt. It's burn.
One day, he came to a ravine deep in the mountains. He slowly wound his way along a path on a sheer cliff face, the kind even wild beasts might hesitate to traverse. One misstep would mean a long fall, followed by a swift death. It was the edge of a knife. But the man's desire burned brighter than his fear. For he had heard tale of a legendary treasure that slumbered somewhere within the ravine. The price it might fetch was beyond counting. But with his will governed by greed, he became impatient. He moved faster, more careless, more reckless. Finally, his foot landed on a loose clump of soil and turned. He plunged into the ravine below without a sound.
So you're telling me that this man who almost died climbing a mountain, instead of realizing that nature is scary, just began to exclusively climb mountains. Until one day it killed him. You know, sometimes natural selection just happens. Sometimes it really do just be natural selection.
When the man came to, the sun had long since abandoned him. He lay next to a creek at the bottom of the ravine. When he made to sit up, pain coursed through his body. His limbs would not obey his command, nor his fingers. Am I going to die here? Wondered the man. Just then, the moon peeked out from behind the clouds, illuminating the land around him. The midnight scenery was dazzling. Rocky cliffs scraped the sky, scoffing at the insignificance of humans. Trees danced in the breeze as if moved by magic. Stars spilled across the sky like jewels on velvet. The magnificence of nature was more brilliant than any treasure. The beautiful view, something he usually paid little mind to, began to stir something in the man's heart. And suddenly, he understood his purpose. The reason he walked the path between life and death. His heartbeat melted into the gentle murmur of the creek.
Alrighty then.
I still have things I need to do. Having found his greater purpose, the man forced himself to his feet and slowly made his way back home. Treasure and riches hold no meaning for him now. Instead, he seeks only the most dangerous and secluded lands. The more unforgiving a situation, the more joy he feels. Only when he stares death in the eye does he feel alive. His world had changed at the bottom of the ravine. He had changed. And he would never allow himself to go back. Now, when the people from his hometown see him, they all say the same thing. He's changed, that one. It's almost like nature has possessed him. Once again, the man sets off in search of new, unexplored lands. As he presses across a vast wilderness, His eyes glitter like a child's. For what he seeks can only be found on the edge of a knife.
This man almost died and it turned him into an adrenaline junkie. Alright. You know, sometimes... sometimes natural selection just has to do its thing, you know? Sometimes natural selection just works in mysterious ways. Alright, the Valley of Light. I mean, it wasn't technically a sad story. Definitely not as sad as Gale's have been. Speaking of sad stories, this is a Theo story, and it looks like it's gonna be real sad. Alright.
I'll be fine. It's okay.
I didn't need this in my life, but here we are.
Overnight, a cruel new law penned by the nobles plunged one family into the lowest echelons of society. The father lost his job. The mother began to meet cold stares while doing the shopping. And the daughter was expelled from school. Ever since that day, the pent-up despair of her parents has become a daily expression of rage. The girl is too young to intervene, and can but stand by as her parents hurl contempt and insults in equal measure. But in her secret heart, she knows exactly what to say. I just want you to get along again. You used to laugh, to sing, to be happy. But now you don't, and there is nothing I can do about it. Realizing this is a thing beyond her ability to repair, the girl is thrust into a spiral of endless darkness. But she pushes the feeling back and abruptly springs up from her chair. She has just come up with an idea. An idea that will make her parents love again. Her heart leaping with joy, she dashes from the room and out the door.
Well, this totally will not go wrong. Just never. I see through my tears. What could possibly go wrong, chat?
Father, mother, daughter. It is a perfectly normal family, one found anywhere and everywhere. But an unfair law forces this family to be the subject of poverty and discrimination. The parents curse their own misfortune and permit their resentments to run wild. But the wounded girl has come up with a plan to bring them together once more. In her room, she unfurls a dirty scrap of paper and takes up her pencil. Her eyes narrow in concentration as the lead skitters across the page. Soon, the image begins to take shape. Though crude, it is clearly a picture of her mother and father holding hands. The daughter carefully puts the finishing touches on the picture, pouring her entire heart and soul into its creation. All the while, she thinks back on her precious memories of a household filled with happiness. She completes the drawing by giving the subjects a pair of gentle smiles. She wants them to be like the picture, to get along again. This is her most fervent wish.
Theo deserves all the happiness in the world. My goodness. I just can't wait for this to go to shit. Chamber of Prayer Part 3.
The girl has drawn her parents in happier days with a crude and unpracticed hand. She feels confident they will stop fighting once she shows them her creation. She knows it will make them remember better times. Her mother sits silently at the table. With hope in her heart, she shuffles up and places the picture in front of her. But the wife is still not recovered from the latest argument with her husband, and she shoves the drawing aside without a glance. "Go away," she mutters. "I don't feel like playing right now." Her weary eyes never leave the surface of the table. The girl stands rooted in place, unsure of what to do next. Eventually, she comes to a realization. She is sad, unbearably sad. And this sadness is threatening to consume her. This feeling, this pain, is so overwhelming that she cannot even begin to express it. The next thing she knows, she is running from the house with tears streaming down her face. Behind her, she hears her father begin to yell. Maybe he yells at her, or maybe her parents are fighting again. But she continues to run, and the raging voice eventually fades to nothing.
Ow.
Ignored by her mother, the girl fled her house carrying a heart heavy with despair.
Oh, shit.
Having regained some modicum of control, she now sits silently and still in the cool night air. Not wanting her parents to worry, she finally forces her feet to begin the long trek home. A journey made all the harder by the anchor of her weary soul. I wonder if there's still fighting. The girl approaches a window and peers inside to find her parents sitting across the table from one another. Her mother is speaking. Their life has been one of constant discrimination and poverty ever since the law was unveiled. Their formerly strained livelihoods became even more difficult. The girl can tell from her mother's face that she has reached her limit. But this time, her father does not berate his wife. Instead, he simply sits and listens to her words. Because even I. As tears begin to flow, Her mother abandons her husband at the table and vanishes deeper into the house. Rather than follow, the man unfolds a dingy piece of paper and stares at it. It is the girl's picture, the same one her mother rejected earlier that day. Quietly, her father stands and sets the crude drawing gently on a shelf. The daughter knows that shelf well. It is the place where he keeps his most precious things. It holds letters he and his wife exchanged during their courtship, pressed flowers given to him by his daughter, and seashells collected by the family during a rare day of rest at the beach. The daughter is not alone in her dream. All of them want things to go back to how they were. Sniffling, the girl rubs her red and tired eyes and opens the door to her house. "I'm home," she says quietly. And as her voice echoes throughout the home, it brings with it the faintest glimmer of hope.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah. The dad's all right. The mom, throw the whole mom out though. The whole mom can go. Chamber of prayer. All right. So that was Chamber of prayer. Now it's time for the Garden of Paradise. Oh, it's a husband and waifu story. How lovely.
Weary of fighting, a husband wanders a blighted landscape with his wife at his side. They had been taken prisoner and forced to battle the flowers again, and again, and again. After endless days of blood and pain, the pair began to harbor doubts about their mission. Now they continue a new journey with slow, heavy steps. One day, they come across another group of deserting soldiers. They inform the couple they are headed for a land called Paradise. They claim Paradise is a place where flowers never take root. A place where people will never treat them like criminals, beasts, or worse. A utopia where an idealized life is guaranteed for all. The couple ruminates on this. What if they're right? What if such a place actually exists? After a moment, they decide to join the group. Perhaps they're wrong, and this so-called paradise is nothing but a fleeting dream. Even if it is, it would still be better than all of this aimless wandering. The couple clutches their weapons tight and set off with their newfound allies. This time, their steps are not plodding, but joyous. For they are the first steps on a road to newfound peace.
It's so good. The music is so good. Recall.
The couple, now joined with a band of deserting soldiers, continues along the difficult path to paradise.
Ah, shit.
Along with their newfound allies, they again take up arms against the menace of the flowers. Today, they intend to collapse a building and take out the entire bouquet in a single strike. The husband came up with the idea. And as its owner, he volunteers to risk his life by drawing the flowers' attention. While they are distracted, the rest of the group uses the opportunity to bring down the building. The flowers are caught unaware and crushed. The group is filled with almost impossible joy. They praise the husband's cleverness. They applaud his bravery. Their raucous cheers are filled with something very new and strange: hope. After countless battles, a powerful solidarity forms between the husband and his new companions. The idea of reaching paradise actually seems possible when he is with them. But his wife has been injured in a recent fight, and he is forced to support her as they walk. Neither of them know when the flowers will next appear, and this concerns them greatly. "If only we knew," says the husband. "If only we could finally put an end to these days of fear." But even without that knowledge, he continues to press on in the hopes he might finally know a peaceful, happy life with the woman he loves.
Aw. Doo-doo-doo. He just wants to live with waifu. That's so cute. Like, their story is just sweet in its simplicity. They just want to live with each other and not have to fight giant man-eating flowers.
The couple continue the search for paradise with the rest of the deserters. One day, they come across a shelter that fits the description. With wary smiles, they approach the shelter doors. But when they draw close, a siren begins to blare. It is quickly joined by a clipped voice over an intercom that utters 6 heartbreaking words. This shelter can accept only 2. Time passes. This agonizing moment lasts for what seems an eternity. Finally, a member of the group snaps and plunges his dagger into the heart of a companion. He begins to babble and scream as blood spurts across his face. "Me, I am chosen. I will be first to enter paradise."
You know.
At his words, the group turns on each other, and a merciless slaughter begins. Voices filled with bloodlust. Voices filled with pain. The alarm continues to rage, adding its throaty roar to the symphony of anguish and despair. The husband and wife take weapons in hand and assume battle positions. It is all so they might live together. It is all so they might survive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there are people running this facility and they go only 2 may enter and one of them turns out to be a raging murderous psychopath, it's like, okay, Any two that are not that guy can, like, anybody who's not, like, I don't know if I'd want to add somebody like that to my group. I'm just thinking. Like, I would think that that guy fucked his chances the second he started killing a bunch of other people.
All the couple wanted, yet what they found at the end of their long journey was an inescapable hell where friend turned on friend. They are the only survivors. The husband sought to shield his wife during the fray, and now bleeds steadily from countless wounds. His wife helps him to his feet, and together they limp toward the sealed shelter doors, only to hear the same terrible words. This shelter can accept only two. Suddenly, the husband understands everything. He smiles at his bewildered wife. Go on. Live a happy life, both of you. Rather than regret, his voice is filled with the stirrings of hope. In one swift movement, he picks up his sword and drives it through his own heart. His wife can do nothing but watch as he expires with a smile. Though her heart screams with sadness and loss, she will not allow that to overwhelm her husband's final, desperate hope. She turns to face the doors of paradise. The alarm is silent. In that silence, her husband's last words replay in her mind. They will not permit her to give in. Slowly, so slowly, the door opens. She steps inside. Without thinking, she tenderly runs one hand over her stomach. It was all so they might live in peace. All for the life inside her, the one she and her husband would have done absolutely anything to protect. And now, they will continue on, together.
I'll just cry. It's fine. Ouch. Oh!
It's okay.
Well, I wasn't expecting that one. And here we are. This is probably another fucking test anyways. Yeah, true. Well, either way, that was, Guardian of Paradise, you know. Oh, Stronghold of Desolation, that sounds kind. Former prince. Oh, okay, so this is another ReIn story. There's a lot of ReIn stories, specifically. We've got a lot of other characters. Or maybe it's supposed to be like a Demos one too, you know?
The former prince flees his kingdom, and the clockwork man follows. Danger pursues him like a hooded wraith, the rising sun of each day drawing back the curtain on a new fevered dream of horror. This day, the pair finds themselves in the ruins of a castle, the former stronghold of a once proud nation that now lies forgotten on the ash heap of history. As pursuing clockwork soldiers enter the ruins, the boy and his retainer fight them off one after the next. During a particularly fierce skirmish, one of these pursuers burns the retainer's hand. Their enemies are mass-produced clockwork soldiers featuring the newest and best technology the kingdom has to offer. The man is an older model, and though he has never once failed to protect the boy, each victory is hard-fought, the margin thin as the edge of a knife. But in addition to being more advanced, their new enemy is equipped with the latest weaponry and shows no sign of relenting. As the retainer skillfully slips into the shadows, he makes a signal to the prince, who holds his breath. Their window for victory is a hair, an eyelash, a whisper. The moment the enemy turns his back, the retainer dashes forward. By the time he realizes something is amiss, the clockwork man's weapon is drawn. The dry crack of a gunshot echoes around the crumbling walls of the ruins. Another narrow victory is theirs. He turns to the boy and sees relief wash over his young features. But then, he senses something overwhelming approaching from afar. Glancing out a nearby window, he sees a force of clockwork soldiers on the march, their numbers stretching off to the horizon. The former prince and the clockwork man hide themselves near the castle rear gate to discuss strategy. The man suggests a ruse wherein he draws the enemy's attention so the boy might escape. But the prince will not hear of it. No, I won't leave you to die. We fight together. The boy puts all of his strength into this statement, hoping to overwhelm his companion into acquiescence. But the man simply shakes his head. This enemy is beyond any we have yet faced. I cannot protect you and hope to defeat them at the same time. It is a cold and bitter analysis. After a moment, the boy reluctantly accepts the truth of it. He hefts a bag filled with his few meager possessions over his shoulder and slips through the back gate. I'll meet you in the next town, he says. We'll go on from there. A slight smile washes over his face before he slips off into the dark. I must survive, thinks the man. He makes his way forward with sure and powerful steps. He is ready to lay all on the line so the boy's great cause might yet become reality. I must protect him. I must ensure he lives. And with these thoughts echoing through his mind, the man sets off for war. The castle ruins are a fog of gunpowder haze and flying lead. The enemy's plan is clear. Strike fast and hard, and damn their own losses. Their numbers are staggering. Their power unimaginable. They move as one, an unstoppable wave that seeks only to destroy. Bullets enough to blot out the sun fly over the man's position without pause. He is badly injured and bleeding from countless wounds. But he has learned many things on his travels, and possesses knowledge his enemies do not. He knows things, ways to escape situations that would prove fatal for any other. So as the bullets rage, a desperate flame sparks to life in the deepest part of his soul, and he redoubles his efforts. Finally, silence descends over the ruins, leaving only the hollow click of his own gun as it cycles one final time through a now empty chamber. Before him lies a mountain of motionless clockwork soldiers. He is near the edge of exhaustion, the edge of death, and yet, somehow, he has won. A beat. He is a moment too slow. One clockwork soldier, one survivor, leaps out from behind a wall in ambush. The enemy aims his weapon at the small spot between the man's eyes. And though he understands what is happening, he cannot move. The damage is too much, he thinks calmly. The neural connection to my motor functions has been severed. Farewell, my prince. With that, the man surrenders his future. A single gunshot rings out, scattering any possible resignation to the winds. The bullet leaves the chamber and enters the heart. The enemy staggers, confused. For the shot that had laid him low came from the weapon of the young prince. In his hand is one of the man's spare guns, which had been placed in the bag some time before. As shock and relief flood through the clockwork man, he finds his legs will no longer obey. He feels himself falling, falling, falling to the earth. But then, the boy has him. "You've always been the one supporting me," says the young prince. "It's time for me to return the favor." His voice is a transient whisper. The man attempts to speak, but the words refuse to make the journey from mind to mouth. Why, he thinks. Why did you come back? In all of the man's planning, he never once considered that his young charge might return. But when he heard that single shot ring out, He knew instantly in his heart what had transpired. As he holds on to consciousness, the man realizes something. Though he had chosen to protect the boy, he still subconsciously trusted and relied on the prince's strength and judgment. He turns this thought over and over in his mind. How had he been able to defeat such an overwhelming enemy? How did he possibly emerge victorious over the newest models of soldiers? But no matter how hard he thinks, the answers elude him. The bond between him and the boy is a thing beyond battlefield calculation. And perhaps that is precisely what he must protect. The precious bond that exists in the gossamer moment between past and future. "Come on," says the boy. "Time to rest." Though his thin arms and legs tremble, the boy continues to support his clockwork companion. And as the man leans into his shoulder, he sees the boy's smile return, one that seems likely to echo on into infinity.
Oh my fucking god. Alright, so the cat hair is still there, but like, I popped a cough drop, so my coughing has abated, but I will just suffer, I guess. Jesus. It won't come out. The freaking cat's gonna be the end of me, I swear. I didn't check what it was called! Fuck. I think it was the, maybe, Stronghold of Desolation, maybe? Okay, this is Vestiges of Paradise. Oh, I think that this is the Final Fantasy XIV event, actually. Yeah. Yeah. So Vestiges of Paradise was when I came in. This was the very first, this was the whole reason why I came in, I think. Yeah. This is Final Fantasy XIV's. So, I'm gonna do my best not to cough. So that way you guys can enjoy what got me into Nier ReIncarnation, which was the Final Fantasy XIV event. And it's, an event specifically about a man named Emmett Selk. We about to devour all the rest of these cough drops. I can feel it.
Long, long ago, in an age now past, this star was as paradise. Men knew naught of fear, loss, despair. With lifetimes unto eternity, their days were peaceful and bright. Of its magic were born myriad creations. Mankind's spires towered proud, their stones never to crumble. Even the dark of night would softly smile to see the shining crystal nestled within. Within those walls, the people laughed and loved to their heart's content. A solitary man stands in the street. His robes are black, as is the custom. Only the mask concealing his face differs from others in shape and color. It marks this man as a leader. He is a most powerful mage. Early as always, I see. Beside the man, a companion appears. A beloved and trusted friend. Soon, another will arrive, and the trio will revel until dawn. Just as they have, time and time again. This age, now long past, will always be his paradise.
This is fine. I didn't need tears. I can't believe I missed the frickin' Dragon Quest event. Cause these stories, these are like, you know, once they're gone, they're gone. So I'm just kind of like, oops. Rain's like, Emmett. I'm doing my best not to cough over it, Rain. This cat hair is not quitting, holy.
The end arrives all too suddenly. Calamity swallows the star. Meteors rain in cataclysmic deluge, as if to scour away all life. Land buckles, cities burn, blood flows. The powerful mage and his clever fellows create a god that will stabilize the star, sacrificing half of mankind to do it. The dark god they birth does its work. When the danger has passed, the people gaze upon their ruined world. We must put this right. We shall return to paradise. They further sacrifice unto their god. Yet some would oppose them. We must move forward. What's done is done. The future awaits. These souls create a brighter god, to challenge the other's dark deity. The gods clash for days without end. At last, the light of the future, the bright god emerges victorious. The decisive blow is so strong, it sunders both the darkness and the star. Thus does one world become 14.
I wonder if anybody was playing Nier ReIncarnation and watched this and was like, yo, this is the plot of Final Fantasy XIV, and went and played Final Fantasy XIV. And then, like, just waiting for this plot point to be relevant, only to realize that, like, yeah, this is technically the story of Final Fantasy XIV, but none of this is relevant until, like, the end of the, what, 4th expansion? 5th expansion. No, 4th expansion, literally. If we're not counting 1.0. Actually takes that game 300 hours to get to this point, if not more. It's fine.
Light triumphs with a sundering blow. The powerful mage and his allies manage to withstand its impact, barely. When he opens his eyes, as the star lies shattered, so too do the souls upon it. Pitiful moaning of malformed creatures. They can no longer shape words. Language, culture, knowledge, forgotten. Such an outcome is unbearable. the man throws himself into restoring his star, his people, his paradise. Decades, centuries, millennia pass. As he works tirelessly, the wretched creatures begin to learn. They speak in new tongues. They worship new gods. They forge new histories. He looks upon this and is repulsed. These wretches are fragile and weak. They can barely comprehend magic. Ignorant, intolerant, misbegotten husks, fighting each other without aim or end. Their pitiable lives are fleeting. In the simplest of ways, they die and die. Yet they claim the mantle of mankind. Absurd, abhorrent, intolerable. No matter what he does, no matter how much time passes, the hatred and heartbreak remain.
Alright then. No Lalafell's tisk tisk. The road that we walk. Rain's like rude. But the Lalafells are like the star of the Final Fantasy XIV Nier thing, so it's fine. That's where they are.
Long, long years have passed since the star and its people were sundered. Yet the man still lives, still fights to reclaim his paradise. At times, he mingles with the wretches, assuming false names and false lives. Today is no different. With borrowed eyes, he scorns the world. Back curled under exhaustion, sigh harmonic to a heavy countenance. Before him stands a cluster of miscreants. Gaze shrewd enough to pierce the spirit, the man spots a familiar hue. The precise color of an old friend's soul, a broken relic of paradise. But he has already passed an eternity with hope and grief. He has watched them die, forgotten them. Now, he simply does what can be done, grasping the last wisp of a dream that stubbornly fails to fade. A lone player in this tale of the star, his monologue an elegy.
Okay, no. Well, you know. That was just a whole thing, you know, just... Well, that was Record Vestiges of Paradise, or the Final Fantasy XIV event, and the first event that I physically did. Which means that, like, all of the rest of these should be... I think this one was going on literally the same time, because I believe this was, like, the first Nier-specific one that I did. I die every day. The second I stop, fucking the cough drop goes away, this cat hair starts to agitate. So now, ugh, I'm trying to get it down, Like, it's just it's so deep in my throat now because, like, I gave up on trying to cough it out and now I'm just trying to swallow it. But it's, like, stuck in my esophagus and I'm just suffering. It's fine. But this is another Demos and Rion story, so I'm just gonna pop that on while I suffer. Do, do, do. Jesus, send help.
Having escaped the kingdom, the boy and his clockwork companion now wander the wastes alone. With men in pursuit, they take refuge in a nearby roadside town. It is a larger town, one where they can easily vanish into a crowd. After a bit, they enter a saloon and pause to catch their breaths. The townsfolk are all smiles and welcome them most heartily. If only I could create a country as peaceful as this, thinks the boy. He thinks back on those ravaged by war in his home country as he reaches across the tavern table for his dinner. Suddenly, his companion's hand flies out. He snatches the food from his fingers and takes a bite. This food is drugged, he hums.
Oh no. Yeah, no, this is like a weird... I don't want to call it a Children of the Corn situation, but like The Village. It's like, run. He's like, please don't drug my prince, Demos says.
The boy seems shocked by the news. As he stands and pushes back from the table, the tavern keep approaches. Hey now, he cries. What's the big deal here? That drug's perfectly legal in these parts. The boy knows the drug well. It is one that offers temporary euphoria in exchange for destroying the user's body and mind. It is a dangerous chemical outlawed in every country. When the boy asks the tavern keep if he is aware of this, he snarls and makes a motion to the rest of the bar. The townsfolk begin to close in. Their smiles are gone. They stare at the pair with empty eyes. They carry knives, blades, guns. Each weapon glints menacingly in the dim light. It is clearly no idle threat. The man stands before the boy like a wall.
Oh, did you kill it?
Oh, did I?
Was it dead? Did it finish, guys? Or, like, did it just get... I'm gonna assume that it was over, because I was tapped out. So... let's just assume that it was over. And if it feels like it wasn't... actually, I can literally just look. The man stands before the boy like a wall. Okay, so we're fine. I was like, that was just so abrupt.
The townsfolk press the circle tighter.
Oh, shit.
The boy moves to speak, perhaps hoping to sway them to peace, but someone in the crowd cuts him off. This town was put to the torch during the war, he growls. Yet we managed to rise from the ashes and rebuild by selling that drug to anyone who wanted it. But now we've run out of willing customers, so we have to introduce our honored guests to it instead. Still, a fancy boy like you would know nothing of. Suddenly, as if linked, the crowd realizes that the boy standing before them is none other than the escaped prince, and frenzied voices begin to ring out. His people burned our town. Crush the oppressor. Make him pay. The boy objects as loudly as his voice will let him, but the townsfolk are beyond hearing. A moment later, his companion draws his revolver. "No," screams the boy. "Don't kill them." With this order received, the man holsters his weapon and begins subduing the townsfolk a different way.
I appreciate that Demos is like, alright, fine, I won't kill them, but they sure as hell are gonna feel sore in the morning. Demos is an amicable man. He is a reasonable man.
At the end of the chaotic brawl, the townsfolk lie on the floor, bloodied and battered, but alive. Between moans, they spit curses at the pair. We made league with the devil to save our town. We listened to his whispers and did his deeds. Your kingdom started this war. You are to blame. The man looks up from his defeated foes. The bandages covering his face have slipped in the scuffle, baring his visage to the world. His face is covered in a crisscross of scars. It is the face of a weapon sent to war, before being discarded like so much trash. The boy gazes upon him with sorrowful eyes, before reaching out and laying one hand on his rough, craggy cheek. "Come on," says the boy. "Let's get moving." As they walk, his hand makes a fist and begins to tremble.
Well, alrighty. City of Discontent. Oh wait, shit. I think Town of Deceit was like... Hold on. I lost Vestige of City of Discontent. Okay, I know. It's Town of Deceit. Okay, the name made me think that maybe I read it wrong, and I was like, wait, did I just have a brain fart moment? Wait, did I save? Wait. Today we recommend apple pie. I don't have apple pie game. Ah.
Rubble lies scattered across the roads of a desolate city. Black smoke billows into the sky. These things serve as scars of the battle between the local military and a terrorist organization. Amidst the smoke and flame, a platoon leader gives orders to his wounded yet victorious squad. Find survivors, treat the injured, Watch for enemy remnants. Once the orders are given, he leaves his post and begins aiding in the search. Soon, he comes across a pair of trembling sisters in the tumble-down skeleton of a building. Despite the obvious fear on the elder girl's face, she wraps the younger in her arms and stares at the man with defiance. He gives her a soft smile, then dives into a pocket and produces a bit of candy that he hopes might serve as a peace offering. But she has gone through horrors he cannot even imagine, and the gift only serves to tighten her grip. The only sound is the lonesome howl of the wind. Suddenly, the silence is betrayed by the rumble of the young girl's empty stomach. The man snorts despite himself, then immediately regains his composure and apologizes for the disrespectful display. "My sister is hungry," mutters the elder through flushed cheeks. "She needs to eat. I'll do whatever you want. Just, please, food." The man smiles gently, a true smile, not a trick of the bargain. "In that case, I suppose we'll have to put you to work cleaning the base." The girl nods, her face softening slightly as she considers the prospect of keeping her kin safe. Despite her youth, the world has taught her she must fight for what matters to her, and she would do anything to safeguard her sister's life. Tasked with the lives of his troops, the man recognizes this instinct in her, and he swears then and there to show this small kindred spirit the utmost respect.
Doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, my eye. The Town of Deceit, Part 2.
It has been several days since the older girl started cleaning the platoon's temporary base. She cleans and she cleans and she cleans, all for the sake of her sister. Her hard work brings considerable comfort to the troops, and she quickly becomes their star. Whenever they come across her, they make offerings of sweets and cookies and chewing gum. But she always turns them down with the same reply: "I am already being paid." When the platoon leader sees one of these exchanges, he takes the candy he was about to offer her and puts it back in his pocket. Instead of a gift, he offers a simple word of thanks for her hard work before venturing to the communications room.
Yeah, I remember this one too.
As he enters, one of his men is busy transcribing a new message that came across the wire. It is a report from headquarters regarding the terrorist organization. It details all the weapons their enemy has purchased, as well as an estimated date and location for their next attack. The man rubs at his chin as he considers this new information. Above all, he wants to keep as many of his troops as safe as possible. As he mulls over his options, a second message comes across the wire. Enemy using children as spies. Take all necessary precautions. The man's head whips around to focus on the girl cleaning in the next room. She nods politely at him and continues her work. Beside her, her little sister waves happily. He responds in kind before shaking his head in an attempt to clear away the doubts that are creeping into his mind.
Not the child spies. Doo-doo-doo.
Late that night, the man sits in his room planning their next operation. His pen dashes across the page with conviction. If he can pull this off, it will decimate the terrorist organization without claiming the lives of any of his platoon. As he finishes his work, the girl appears in his doorway. He quickly gathers his notes and shoves them into a drawer. "How are you settling in?" he asks. "Well, thank you. My sister is sleeping again. A smile has returned to her face, and it's all because of you." Her gaze suddenly drops to the floor. "But I know you're about to go away. Is it somewhere dangerous?" "Perhaps," he says with an easy smile. "But I'll come back. I promise." "You have to," whispers the girl before scampering away into the dark. Night passes. The sun rises. As the base stirs to life, the girl is nowhere to be found. She left behind only two things. The first was the mess she created while rummaging through the platoon leader's desk. And the second was her little sister.
Refuses to comment.
Though some of his men suffered minor injuries, the platoon emerges from their next fight victorious and whole. They whoop loudly and slap each other on the back, knowing this latest mission means certain destruction for their foe. From a distance, the platoon leader and abandoned girl watch the celebration with clouded expressions. "Where's my sister?" asks the child as she holds back tears. The man pauses, trying and failing to find a way to tell her of the older girl's end. She had been a spy for the terrorists. She chose that path in order to protect her sister. But she failed. The information she stole from the leader's room was false. He had left it there on purpose. Her stealing it had been his plan all along. Acting on the false information, the terrorists arrived at what they thought was their own ambush, only to find the tables turned. It all went exactly as he had planned it. save for the moment the terrorists enacted their revenge against the older girl. No, don't lie to yourself. You knew that was always a possibility. He had weighed the lives of his entire platoon against that of a single young girl and made his decision. But as he stares at the little sister crying before him, he finds himself unable to tell her this truth. As his hand clenches into a fist, the cheering of his men and the sobs of the little girl blur into an endless wall of sound. These days, the man always keeps a piece of candy in his pocket. He does so in the hope he will never forget the weight of all his sacrifices.
It's fine, you know. I'm not crying, you're crying. It's fine, you know, the shit happened. I wouldn't necessarily say this is a sad one so much as it's an unfortunate one, but you know, eh. Next, Covetous Grove. Oh, I remember this one. This is an Akeha story.
Cold steel flashes in twilight. The man's dagger disposes of his target in an instant. There is not even the opportunity for last words. The man is a nameless mercenary hired by his homeland. His job is to accompany a gifted assassin and assist her whenever she eliminates important figures. Before he can even sheathe his blade, he hears the sound of steel whistling through air behind him. Another target falls, never to rise again. A beautiful assassin stands over the body. Her eyes are the cold ice of riverbed obsidian. She is the assassin he is tasked with assisting. The pair has accomplished much in the short time they have been together. "You're quick," says the woman, as she wipes a bit of blood from her blade. It is a rare moment, for she is not the type to offer praise. Clearly, she was impressed with his blade work. The man is proud to rub shoulders with the woman and finds himself growing more infatuated with her by the day. No, not infatuation. Love. But for this woman, who was born to an assassin family, love is an unfamiliar concept. One day, she will be placed in an arranged marriage in order to continue her bloodline. Her family would never recognize a union between her and a nameless mercenary such as himself. And even if they did, the woman does not seem remotely interested in romance. Yet that is why. That is precisely why. Her otherworldly beauty is a naked scalpel glimmering in the evenfall, and it enraptures him. Yet the man knows he is not her equal, not as he is now. So he bottles his emotions deep in his heart, completes his mission, and sets out on his own.
Akaha's stories are very poetic. Like, I always just really like her stories because even if they're really grisly, like, there's a poetry to them almost. And I like it. I like it a lot.
Years have passed since the mercenary and assassin last crossed paths. The man abandoned her suddenly, his torrent of emotions left unsaid and unmentioned. Yet the passing of time has not dulled his feelings. Indeed, they have only grown more acute with each rising of the sun. He has moved beyond attraction, beyond love. It is obsession now. He forgets the worth of all other things, and uses his tenacity to discover repeated success in his trade. Eventually, his hard work pays off, and he finds himself the lord of a fine manor. And then, finally, the day arrives. The day of their reunion. The silhouette of a woman shimmers into existence. The figure moves with hidden grace and purpose. Her appearance has been disguised with false hair, heavy makeup, and a cloak. Her identity should be an enigma, a mystery. Yet he knows. One glance at those obsidian eyes is all he needs. She passes him without a word or look. Her presence is 1,000 icicles on his skin. He can sense her skill, feel it. She is something beyond all measure. It takes all of the man's considerable will not to collapse in the presence of her aura. The air quivers as they pass. He reaches for the dagger in his pocket, but the woman slips past before he can act. He turns to watch her go, squirming with bubbles of delight. He has been waiting for this day. It is why he worked so desperately to gain fame and fortune enough to own his own estate, so he could finally become her target.
Okay, well, what was he gonna do if they sent a different assassin? She comes from an assassin family, so obviously there's more than one. Like, what was he actually gonna do if they sent someone else?
Night falls on the day of the mercenary's reunion with the assassin. He waits for her in a bamboo grove lit by the haze of the moon. The dense thicket should prove an advantage against the woman's long robes. He has also surrounded himself with traps learned during his long years of mercenary work. Of course, she sees through all of this. Yet despite her awareness of the situation, she slips through his traps and stands boldly before him. She is bewitching. Moonlit rapture, His breath catches in his throat as he grasps his dagger. Somehow, impossibly, her allure has only grown stronger over the years. The man suddenly understands that she can never be his. No, impossible. Such a thing would only serve to sully her beauty, as one might dull a blade while fighting a sandstorm. He has but one desire left. Though the woman has come for his life, he now intends to claim hers. Despite the thick foliage around her, the woman moves like liquid smoke through an infinitesimal opening. She is a wraith, a willow, a fiendish dread that slips and flickers like a goddess dancing on an ocean of endless ice. I am going to kill her. He burns this image into his memory, then quietly seals it away. And in doing so, in looking off to limitless futures, he knows that if this country ever meets its end, she will never again look upon another man. His dagger flashes, her katana gleams. A second strike, a third. The man's arm is grazed, but he deftly turns the attack aside and leans his whole being into his counter. Ripples from the honeyed act echo in his heart. For in the whole of paradise, this is the greatest pleasure he has ever known.
Why he gotta turn it sexual? I mean, I guess she is trying to kill him, so go off if this is gonna be the last time you ever feel any semblance of joy, but, you know. Nobody's looking at the story and expecting this guy to live, because Akaha is the goat. Wait a minute.
Each time the man brandishes the dagger, he feels the woman's body growing ever closer to his own.
Oh.
Crimson seeps from her wounds to lie gleaming in the light of the moon. The woman staggers, her eyes empty. She has lost much blood. This is the peak of my pleasure. Yet, as the man grips his dagger and readies to end her life, he realizes something. His intellect is honed, sharp. His obsession deep, pure. These things have driven him to the brink of madness. And he is tumbling into endless hallucination. He rallies himself and dispels the illusion, reclaiming his sanity against all odds. But the moment the woman's katana grazed his arm, his fate was already sealed by the poison on the edge of the blade. His foggy consciousness desperately attempts to train his vision on the assassin. But she is a featureless blur. The man cannot read her expression. He does not know how she looks at him. Yet he keeps going all the same. I am the one who must end you. Fuel returns to his soul, and he brandishes his dagger anew. You should have stayed within the illusion, murmurs the woman. Her words drift through the air, toward the man who lies crumpled in a pitiful heap. After so many years, his blade work had grown even more precise. And because she knew this, she did not wish to kill him. Instead, she wished only to render the powerful man powerless. Yet his intellect combined with her immaturity and ended up removing his future. "I will remember your skill," she whispers. With a sad sigh, she takes her leave of the bamboo grove. The man's corpse gazes forlornly at the clouds that drift endlessly across the sky. And for reasons known to none, the smile on his face is brighter than the moon.
It's so good. Alright, that was Covetous Grove. Let me go ahead and go to the event stories and let's go to the next one. Alright, let me see here. Where the... Oh, here we go. Original Sin's door. I am not sure. This might be a Livonia one, actually.
Corpses litter the wastes. Endless mountains of corpses. Each one belongs to a most uncanny creature. Standing in the middle of them all is a dark monster. The bodies look much like himself, but he pays them no mind as he drags from them what he desires. It is dreams, you see. He craves dreams. To monsters such as himself, there is nothing more sublime. He inhales the dreams and growls in anger. Is that all? He angrily hurls the bowl away from him and watches it shatter with a terrible sound. The echo in the wastes lasts a lifetime, as though urging him forward. What a trifling dream. I could eat 1,000,000 like it and still not be satisfied. Ah, but something has heard his grumbling, and from behind a nearby rock comes a sneaking voice. "I have something to tell you," it says as a set of eyes peer out from the darkness. "I believe I could be of great service to you. Now come, tell me your story." Despite how the eyes glint in the shadows, the dark monster senses no life behind them. Though he is doubtful, starvation spurs him forward. His problem will not be solved without risk. Come now. Slowly, the dark monster approaches the pair of glimmering eyes.
All my homies hate Carrier. There we go, and then Beep-de-bee.
once had lived without goals, without purpose. The dark monster was drawn to the brilliant dreams other monsters had. He desired them so intensely. It was a hunger, a pain, a rage. Unable to fight against the impulses deep within himself, he finally attacked other monsters, his own kind. He forced down any that resisted and devoured their stolen dreams. The first time he did so, his hollow heart exploded with overwhelming bliss. It was a rich sense of satisfaction, paralyzing in its intensity. Almost as if the desires from the original owners of the dreams were a seasoning for his own. And as he ate, a thought occurred to him. I wish to become human. This thought, this desire, was an instinctual one for monsters of his kind. He instantly understood that his wish could come true if he ate a great many dreams. And once the thought was in his mind, it grew like a fever. More. More. I must eat more. The dark monster gave in to his basest impulses and rushed forward. He would find those of his kind, steal their dreams, and consume them all.
All right, buddy. He just, you know, he's really hungry. He's a voracious eater. I know that feeling. I was quite the voracious eater when I was younger. Can still put away a couple of pounds, so, you know. I definitely feel that. Wait a minute. Is this story just gonna be him killing everybody? Jesus.
The dark monster was a violent dream thief who attacked without discrimination or mercy.
Me and a bag of chips.
No one liked him. Of course they didn't. Soon, an order went up throughout the monster's world. His days of stealing dreams would be ended. His fellow monsters banded together in an attempt to take him down. But he fended them off and stole the dreams of all who dared threaten him. The dark monster would be human soon. He knew this, felt it. But as his conviction grew, the seasoning of the stolen dreams grew ever more bland. He remembered how delightfully sweet and filling they had been at first. But now, they were ashes in his mouth. The more dreams he ate, the more unsatisfied he became. It was as if he were starving while surrounded by plenty. Perhaps this is what happens when I eat dreams tainted with my siblings' desires. The dark monster finally understood. No amount of poor quality dreams could ever turn him human. And when he arrived at that realization, the small flicker of hope within finally went out.
You're not yourself when you're hungry. Don't eat dreams. Eat a Snickers. Not another panel finished. I still need to do the eyes. Ugh.
I believe I could be of great.
Oops.
Now come, tell me your story. I can't believe this, sneers the voice when the monster finishes the tale of his past. You mustn't stay in this world. The only dreams you can eat here are dreadful. Enraged, the monster tries to drag the speaker from the shadows and crush it. But it doesn't work. No matter how hard he squeezes, the speaker only laughs. Oh, I have the perfect place for you, my friend. A place filled with nothing but the richest and most divine dreams. Who could possibly believe such a thing? But the monster has no other choice. Still, he is wary of the speaker, this thing that calls himself Carrier. He angrily threatens him with death if the plan is a trick. But Carrier only giggles with delight. He produces a giant door out of thin air and gracefully motions towards it. The dark monster slowly walks into the abyss. Carrier watches. He chuckles. Now let us go to the world of the cage, where all our dreams come true.
All my homies hate Carrier. Alright, Original Sin's door. Done! Oh shit. Oh god, I'm getting sleepy. Let's see, Original Sin's door. Oh god, we still have so many! Might have to put a couple of these in tomorrow. 1, 2. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3. If I start early tomorrow, we can probably finish these and like start up. Jesus, there's so many. Yeah, no, there's a lot. So I think what we're gonna do is we're going to stop here. I just dropped my pen. It's fine. I have stuff I need to do tomorrow, but I was going to say I might just see if I can't like get around it and come back here early. We will start early tomorrow. Lies Nighty tells herself. We'll see. We will do something tomorrow. It's just a matter of like, you know. Like it's like we have to. Tomorrow's like when I wake up it'll be the 28th and the last like technical full day that we'll have to like get through a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna be fighting for my fucking life. But we'll see how things go. But guys, thank you for swinging in. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be playing more Nier tomorrow. I'm getting tired and my butt hurts. So I need to get up and stretch and die and try to swallow enough water to swallow down this cat hair that has been sitting in my throat for like the past couple of hours. It's really the cat hair's fault, I promise. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me, you guys. Thank you for swinging in. I love your faces, and I'll see you guys definitely tomorrow. I don't know when, but tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.